Good morning, everybody. It's Javier, and I'm super excited to be with you here this morning to share with you some very powerful training, and more than anything, to really drive home the importance of understanding how to conduct the annual client reviews, if you would. What's really unique about this, I've done some training, and I gave you a great tool, which is the emergency binder, to show you how to thank them and entice them to actually hold the annual review virtually. But then, the question, of course, for a lot of people is, how do I conduct it? What do I say? What do I show? And we have a special guest with us here today that's going to go ahead and answer that question for you. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment, as always, to go over some of our first things first. And I just wanted to go over this real quick so we can get our guest speakers on as soon as possible. First things first, I just wanted to congratulate everybody who is having a tremendous payday this coming Tuesday. I'm not at liberty to discuss the amounts because I haven't spoken with any of them. But I can tell you that, the top runner for the team for this coming Tuesday is flirting with $20,000 for just one single payday. And that's not for the month. That's not for the week. That's for one payday out of 2 per week. And of course, 4 weeks in this month. It's just simply an incredible achievement. And everybody that follows behind the number one earner is just simply making an incredible amount of money that is reflective of what they are worth and the value that they are bringing to people, especially during these very tough times, this pandemic, if you would. And so I just can't tell you how proud I am of every single one of you. Now, it all starts, of course, before you generate a paycheck, you have to have the application. And that's why last month was such a good month. And I'm not going to go over all the numbers, but we broke 80. We averaged around 90 applications per month in our team. We did for July at least, and we did 80.2. And so what that represents is, obviously quite a bit of over 90% of what we usually do. But what was unique is that the target premiums were 3 to 4 times higher than they usually are. So it's like having 150 applications, if you would, of the old target premiums versus the new higher ones that we have. And that says a lot of where people's mindsets are. They understand the value of that $200,000 of life insurance is good to have in case, something happens. Well, 400,000, of course, is better, and they have the money to spend it. And so I just wanted to congratulate everybody that did their part. And now they're starting to see the fruit from that labor by having a tremendous payday this coming Tuesday, and then after that as well. So it is very practical what we're going to share with you here today. I don't know of anything that's more practical to share with you during these times than training on annual reviews, because even if they've done a review or you've done a review with your clients just in January, it's a different world. And we want to continue to cut down on the number of clients that surrender their policies out of fear or uncertainty, and replace that with the type of peace of mind that only comes when you show them the facts of their IUL, the facts of the policy himself, and so on. So I just wanted to, again, emphasize that to everybody as well. And also to thank everybody who has really embraced what I call virtual revolution. There's a revolution going on in regards to how you do business and how business is done. And virtual is where it's at. I actually just spoke. We're going to have him as a guest. Some of you might have heard about him. His name is Sergeant Chan. He's a sergeant. He's been retired for 4 years now, a little more than 4 years. And, he's been my client for, 14, 15 years. We're going to do a live interview of him as we do one of his annual reviews, not for purposes of all the private information that our guest speaker is going to talk about, but just how he feels about having what he has now at this point in his life and his career, which, again, he is retired from the police department and just brags about this all day long. And so we're just going to do an interview as to how he feels about the product as a whole, challenges behind it, and so on. And so that's coming. So stay tuned. Along those lines, remind your teammates that they should all, and I do mean every single one of them that wants to succeed, text FFS to 58632. It's how we communicate. And at the same time, it's how the world is communicating right now, which is, of course, via text. And this is extremely important because email is dying and email is slow. And it's just simple. It's better than nothing, I'll tell you that. But leverage text more than you do the power of email, because text is just that much more powerful. I want to commend Mr. George Munoz. And, George is a perfect example of somebody that I know that has been leveraging the power of texting existing clients. And it's so successful. As a matter of fact, he is the number one cash flow on our team this coming Tuesday. You heard me bragging about how much our team is making, which is great. Our number one cash flow is George Munoz. And what he has done is leverage the power of text messages with his existing clientele. And it's been so successful that he literally had to stop it just because he couldn't handle the request for the annual reviews and account overview via Zoom. And so it works. It works like a charm if you work. And I just wanted to show you in contrast. I sent a text message out today, like I sent a text message out earlier in the week with the video message to everybody. And I just want to show you some statistics. Here you see that the message goes out to 260 members of our team. That's how many people actually are on the text alert. Not a lot, but we purge it all the time, like we purge our email addresses all the time, because we pay for every message we send out. And the last thing I want to do is pay to message somebody who is not going to want to hear it or is not going to open it. Well, text alerts, they don't have a choice. They have to open up their text alerts and they have to look at them to clear them, which is pretty cool. Unlike email, I just usually go to my promotions tab every morning, hit select all, and mark as read, and we're done. And so here with text alerts, if I send it to 278 people saw it. Now, on the other hand, I sent an email just yesterday. As you can see at the top, I went out to, again, we purged our list again. We're always flushing it down the toilet and starting clean because I don't like to have people on the line on my list that are just, not participating or reading it. So this is the committed 869 people that I emailed. And out of the hardcore 869 people that I emailed yesterday, as you can see, 14% opened it and 0.8 clicked on the link, which is horrible. But that's the way email works. And even if you go back and say, well, maybe they didn't have enough time to read their email, which is true, but that's the whole purpose of me sending a message to let you know about something that's happening the next day. It's not going to help all the people that opened it up on Monday. And so if you go back to the last email behind that, which is July 10th, 873 people is who it went out to, but still so far, here we are all these days later, only 18.9 have even opened it. It's a horrible, horrible open rate, but it is what it is. So leverage the power of text alerts. I did a class on how to leverage the power of mobile text alerts, which is who I use, and it's not an affiliate link, so I get nothing other than, of course, helping you become more successful. I'm going to do another class coming up that's going to teach you how to do just that and fill up your annual review calendar with clients who book it themselves, which is can't get better than that. And remember, all this business that we're mentioning, I mean, last month alone, I know Alan submitted 5 or 6 annuities. All of them came from annual reviews that he had just reached out to existing clients. And lo and behold, more needs arose for their money as well. So anyways, without any further ado, what I want to do at this point, I want to welcome our guest trainer, if you would. And this is somebody that I have most respect for as it relates to not just personal production, but most importantly, retaining so many of her clients, empowering her team, and just being a great human being overall, not to mention a great and outstanding leader on top of that. And of course, I'm talking about Daniela Dubac. I don't have to tell you too much about her. If you've been to the conventions, if you've been anywhere, around our business, you know that she's definitely the type of person we all would like to someday become. Last month alone, she was the #1 personal producer with 12 point something applications for the month, which is simply incredible. And she continues to just tear it up, not just at our team level, but at the national level as well. And we're very blessed to have her as part of our team and, her great team that's right behind her as well. And so I just want to say thank you to all of them, but especially thank you to, Daniela for not just simply, sharing with you, but also giving you access to some of her tools that I will tell you ahead of time. I'm going to share a link at the end on how you can apply to get what she's going to talk about. But if you don't have any current annual reviews booked, don't request it because you don't need it. You don't need it. This is not going to help you do stuff. This is to complement what you already do. So if you're not doing, you need to go back and have a conversation with yourself about what it is that you need to do to start doing something. And so I'm going to show the link at the end. It's an online form. Just because you apply, most will be ignored. I'll tell you that right now because you're going to have to give us the name and the policy number of all the people that you are conducting and you have scheduled already your reviews for this past week. And just be honest, it's on the honor system. If you haven't done it, don't fill out the form. And because of compliance reasons, we can't share it outside of the hierarchy or, God forbid, outside the company. So again, if you do qualify, we'll know and you'll get the email with the information. If not, it'll just simply, won't happen. But I just can't tell you how much it means to me to have somebody that knows so much, be so willing to share it with the masses, to give everybody a fighting chance at the level of success that they deserve. And so without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm just go in here real quick and make sure that I have her as a presenter or a host, I should say, to be able to do just that. So Daniela, first of all, are you there? You are. Let me just unmute you. Might help. Or you can unmute yourself if you want to as well.
Done.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the host, and you're going to be the host moving forward. Daniela, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, let me go ahead and get out of my presentation, stop the share, and you can take it from there. Once again, good morning, and thank you so much for all that you do for so many. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. And wow, that was a great introduction. Now I have to live up to that too. But anyways, let me actually get my PowerPoint going here first of all, and then I'll get right into it. All right. So everybody can see my good morning.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. And this is, by the way, how I start off my my annual reviews or any type of review that I do or any type of meeting. Well, if it's in the afternoon, I put a good afternoon or something like this. But anyways, so I'm excited to share some of the stuff that's been working for me. And I pretty much started doing annual reviews. I usually do them in the summer anyways, but I started doing them right when COVID started because, okay, well, it's the best way to reach out to your clients. And so I'm just going to go through actually a template that I use where I always use the same template. All I do is just I change, based on what the client's personal information is. And I'll show you those parts that I change. And then again, those of you who are doing annual reviews, if you don't have a format or a template that you've been using, or this might be helpful, then, feel free to use it. Because I try to make my life as easy as possible. When I find something that works, then I just basically duplicate that. Because I don't want to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. Okay, so, and also I think at the end, if you guys want, we can do like a Q&A. And also I'm going to have actually Knock being my role play buddy, because it's more fun to talk to somebody than to talk to myself. And so Knock, are you unmuted?
I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Oh, wow, I like your background. Is that Jamaica?
That's my virtual
Are you trying to tease us?
my virtual vacation.
Okay. All right. So now here's a couple things that you actually want to get ready for your annual review. And guess what they are? Well, first of all, you need to pull your client's annual statement. And it doesn't matter if it was last November, if it was in February and March, it doesn't matter, but you got to get their annual statement. And most carriers, you can actually download it from the website, like National Life. It's really easy. And Javier did a great job last week explaining you where you find all that information, but you really have to have it. And again, most carriers, you can go on a website. I think Anico is the only one. You have to call them to get it. They can email it to you if you have a life policy with them or an annuity. So make sure you don't do that at the last minute. Okay, I learned that lesson because sometimes you don't get it and then, you have to call them again and then you're stressing out because your client's, a review is coming up. So anyways, then also it's been really helpful actually to have the original illustration. Now, when I sold policies or when I sell policies, I usually print out some of the stuff and of course I save the illustrations that I used, that they got a copy of it. If you don't have a copy, either a saved copy or a printout, you can also call the carriers because they have the original illustration that was sent in with the delivery requirements. They have to have that on file. It used to be as simple as, okay, just email it to me. I think nowadays it takes a few days. So again, if that's the case, you need to get it from the carrier, then make sure that you call them a few days before because otherwise you might have to reschedule that annual review. And then also kind of review their file. I just have hard copies also of my clients' files and just kind of browse through it and see, what's the conversation you've had with them maybe a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, because that will also give you information as to what to talk about. Let's say, for instance, if something in there tells me that they have kids, well, then I know, okay, maybe they could talk about a kids policy. Or let's say if maybe they had another job before, then I can talk about Social Security. And that will give me openings again to try to help them with something else than what already helped them, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And as we go along, you kind of see when I ask those questions, and hopefully that'll give you some ideas to, to implement with your annual reviews. Okay, all right, so then let's kind of get started. And Knock, so just to kind of give you a background, so she just recently got married. here for the annual review. And then afterwards, I don't know if you want to get divorced again. She has a couple kids, and she's a teacher, and has a husband, and she'll tell you more about what's going on with the imaginary husband, and as we go along. And so in the beginning, when you start the review, and you're all in sales, so you know what to do. You build rapport. You ask them how they've been, how COVID has impacted them, just to really kind of rebuild that relationship. Because I gotta tell you, some of these people that I've done reviews with, I haven't seen them like in 6, 7, 8 years. Not that I didn't reach out to them, but they just never responded to me suggesting to do an annual review. And it's kind of cool to see people after that long of a time. And now it's so easy, you can do so many reviews at the same day. Okay, so we did our little bonding and catching up and all that. And then so I'm gonna kind of get into the annual review part. So Nock, thanks for being on here. And what I wanted to do today, and what I'm suggesting we do, is let me give you a quick overview on some important stuff as it relates to retirement. And then we'll go more into details how that applies to you, and we'll look at your annual statement and how your plans have been performing. Is that okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let me first kind of go over the factors that are going to impact your lifestyle in retirement. And some of these things also relate to your husband, because your husband, he works in the private sector, right?
He used to.
Or what does that mean? He used to. What
Oh,
happened?
he got laid off.
Oh no, because of COVID?
Yes.
Oh, and so what is he doing now?
He's going to start a new job in a few weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. All right, so we can talk about that in just a moment. So anyways, but actually those things also apply to him. So this is actually something you want to share with him too. So anyways, the factors that impact our lifestyle: market risk, rising taxes, health concerns, pensions, and also obviously, Social Security. Now, in your case, because you're a teacher, you're actually very fortunate because you have a pension. Most people in the private sector don't get pensions anymore. And as it relates to that, let me actually start out with Social Security. And again, those are important things that your husband actually needs to know. 2/3 of people in this country, when they retire, Social Security is their main source of income. Now, it's not a quiz question, but let me ask you this. Do you have any idea what the average payout is for Social Security?
No idea.
No idea? Okay. The average in California is about $1,500. So say somebody made $4,000 or $5,000 before when they were working. When they retire, they're actually going to end up with an average of $1,500. So that's a big drop, okay? And also here, and a lot of people don't know this, Social Security actually is capped. So let's say somebody made $10,000 a month, they retired tomorrow. The earliest, like for your husband, would be at 62. The max he would get is about $2,200. If he retires at 67, that's his full Social Security retirement age, it would be about $3,000. And if he waits until 70, it's $3,700. So you see, that's a huge drop from what people make, right? And that is why it's so important, even for people, especially for people in the private sector, to do something on the side to fill that gap. Okay. So now let's talk about pensions. And like I said, you're really fortunate because nowadays, unless you work for like a school district, law enforcement, city, county, federal, pensions are a thing of the past. And like I said, the rest of us who don't have pensions, all we got is Social Security, and that's obviously not going to cut it. But anyways, now, have you actually looked at your pension report, your progress report in the last few years?
Oh, it's somewhere in my files.
It's somewhere? Okay. Do you remember, or do you approximately know how much your pension is going to pay out?
No.
No? Okay, then let's do this. Let's do actually a little calculation here. So how many years of service do you have right now? Do you know?
18.
18. Okay. So you have 18 years. So let me actually get my little fancy pencil here. Technology these days. Okay, so you said 18, right?
Yes.
All right. And right now you're how old? You're 45, right?
Yes.
Okay, look at this. So you're 45. Let me just make a note. And when were you planning on retiring?
Tomorrow.
Okay, well, miracles take a little longer. Okay, no, realistically.
What's the earliest I can retire? 50?
Well, the earliest you could is 55. But the thing is, at 55, you really only get a fraction of what you're making today. So most teachers, based on my, experience, retire in their early 60s.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying this. Okay, so 60.
60? Okay. So retirement age, we have 60. And so right now you're 45. So that would add another 15 years, right? So that would be 33 years by the time you retire. And you may remember the way they calculate your pension, that will take the years of service that you have, right? And so let's see, we got 33. So we got that part. We're good. And then there's the famous age factor. The age factor is the multiplying factor. And by the way, every teacher in California, charter schools or public schools, you have the same formula going on, okay? So now the age factor, let's go find that one. And because, let me get the pictures out of the way. And because you are gonna have 30 plus years, you're gonna be in this column here. And at age 60, let's go down here, it's 2.2%. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna multiply those two, so times 33. So we have 2.2 times 33 years. So that's actually gonna give you a little over 72% in your pension. So in other words, you want to get about 72% if you're retired at 60, about 72% of what you used to make. And now what's your current salary approximately? Do you know?
About 80,000?
About 80,000. So that would be about 58,000. And let's divide that by 12. So I'd be looking at about 48.40 per month. That's a whole lot better than at $1,500 of Social Security, right?
Much better.
Yeah. So that's kind of what you're looking at right now in terms of your pension. Okay. And any questions on that?
No.
Okay. So I just wanted to do a little recap on that before we move on here. Let me just get out of this. All right, cool. Now, next question is, where should we invest? And for most traditional retirement vehicles, there's like 3 ways you can invest your money. You can have it either in the market, where it kind of goes up and down, Wall Street roller coaster. And you can see this one here, this was a big drop. This was 2008. And as a matter of fact, it took people about 6-7 years just to get back from that big drop that they had. And then it kept going up and up and up. And we all know what happened last March. The market took another dive of 30%. It's been recovering some, but the thing is, we don't know where this is going because there's going to be long-term effects as it comes to the economy, all this unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. Now, do you know your husband? Does he have a 401k, by the way?
From his old job, yes.
From his old job that you just stopped working for? Okay.
Yes.
So most 401ks are actually in the market. So that's definitely something to look at because also now that he's changed jobs, he actually has a lot more opportunities what he can do with that money. And I'll mention that a little later too. Now, the second option is you can put it in something really safe, conservative, like a bank account, CD type of thing, where the money grows very little, maybe 1%. So you're actually not even beating inflation. Because if you're not making at least 2.5% on your money, you're actually going backwards, okay? Hi, your money's safe, but again, you're losing buying power. And then the third option, that's called the indexing, and this is what you have with your insurance plan and also with your 403b. So basically, it combines the safety with the upside potential. So you can see, when the market goes up, you go up to a cap, so up to about 10%, but then the market drops, like right here in 2008. Well, that year, you just kind of flatline, so zero becomes your hero. And then you pick up where you left off, and everybody else they have to recover from 20, 30, 40% below, okay? All right, and then the last piece here I want to cover, and this is probably the most overlooked thing when it comes to planning for retirement. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think taxes in the future are going to be lower or higher, 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Definitely higher.
Higher? Okay, that's what most people say. Well, let's take a look at history. So that's the last 100 years of taxes, income taxes. And you can see in the 1920s, or at the lowest ever, the market crashed. Taxes actually went up and stayed high for about 50 years. At some point, people don't even believe this. In the late 40s, taxes, the highest bracket was at 94%. So back then, if somebody made over $200,000, they would only keep 6 cents on the dollars. So on the dollar. So anyways, then taxes start coming down, and right around here in the late 70s, where taxes were about double of what they are today, this is when the tax deferred concept came out. You know, like the 403Bs, the 401Ks, the IRAs. So it made sense to say, well, why would you want to pay your taxes when they're high? Wait until you retire, because when you retire, tax is going to be lower. Well, we've all heard that story. And that made sense in the 70s. But now where are we now? We are again in one of the lowest tax brackets in history. Only now, Social Security, Medicare going broke. What's funding those programs, by the way? It's taxes. Now, our government just wrote a check for $3 trillion and probably a few more, and there's no money in the bank. Who do you think is going to put money in the bank? Well, it's us. And in essence, it just advances our own money, right? But there's going to be generations to pay for that. So mathematically, taxes have to go up. There's just no way around that. And this is why it's so important to diversify tax strategically. Now, most people traditionally, they have been doing what's called tax deferred, right? That's what we were taught. You don't pay taxes today. It grows over the years. And well, when you take it out, that's when you have to pay taxes. And not just on your contributions, but also on the growth. And we already know now tax is likely going to be higher. So that's really a double whammy. And then the other thing is, well, you can pay taxes today, literally at discount rates. And whatever that grows to at the end, well, guess what? 100% of it is going to be tax-free when you take it out. So I'm not saying do everything over here, but diversify. And most people, 90 to 100% of the money that they have actually saved up or saving for retirement is going to be in here, in the red bubble, okay? Now, like in your case, what do you think is, what you have, what do you think is in here? Do you recognize anything?
403B,
Mm-hmm. And there's one more thing.
457.
Right, that too. But what else? What else are you getting for retirement? Is your pension. Your CalSTRS is also in here, right? And then, by the way, your husband's 401k, that would be in here too. And then also Social Security, with all the income that you have in this red bubble, most of his Social Security income is going to be in his red bubble as well, okay? And that's why it's so important to not only pay taxes later, but also do some of it or some things where you're actually going to pay taxes today, okay?
That's why I have my insurance plan, right?
Exactly, yes. And we'll go into that in just a moment. So any questions up to this point?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, so then let's kind of get into, the tax-free retirement stuff and what it is that you're doing with your two plans. And really, let's start out with the insurance plan. It's really one solution for multiple risks because it gives you all three things here. So obviously, there's the life insurance itself. It's an insurance product, so there has to be some life insurance. Then living benefits. And I got to tell you, living benefits, this is becoming more and more important for people because especially now with COVID out there, people are just scared, And what's actually covered with those living benefits, let me show you real quick. In California, if there's a terminal illness, you can tap into 80 to 90% of that money while you're alive. If there's a chronic illness, let's say you had to go to a nursing home, at-home care, that also would be monthly payouts that you can tap into for 50 months. And then if anything happens like a critical injury or a critical illness, like for instance, cancer, stroke, heart attack, and so on, you can also tap into lump sums, that can help you pay your bills or take time off from work, et cetera, okay? So that's kind of like the peace of mind part, and a lot of people right now, they're looking for that. And then, of course, the fun part, that's the cash accumulation. So that's what's grown over the years. And that's what you're going to be able to tap into either for your kids' college, or obviously retirement, emergencies. And because it's under that insurance umbrella, you're actually going to be able to take it out tax-free. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So it's really insurance, a modern type of insurance that we don't have to die to use. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I remember now.
Okay, awesome. You've paid attention. That's awesome. All right, so let's take a look at your annual statement. And you may remember you've had your policy since 2016. Okay, so this was your fourth annual statement that you got in January. Okay, are you getting them in the mail, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. And so I just want to go over a few things on here. So you can see this is your life insurance. If something would happen to you, then this is the life insurance that's going to get paid out to your beneficiaries, okay? Then your cash value in January was at 9,156 after those 4 years. So you see a big portion of that $200 or $300 you're putting in, 300 actually, goes towards that cash value. And then also you have all these living benefits here built in that I mentioned to you earlier, okay? And this one here, this is also, by the way, I just copied that from your annual statement. And you can see actually the last 3 years, it gives you a breakdown how much your cash value has grown. So 2 years ago, you actually earned 12%. Last year, 7%. And then this year, well, January before, it was also about 7%. And on average, over like a span of 20 years, these policies perform at about 6%. So right now, you're actually right on track, okay? And you'll see even next year, with COVID, you know, that big drop in the market being there in between, you're probably still going to see a few percentages that you earn on the policy. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, and now let's take a look actually of what we had projected 4 years ago. Remember, we said, okay, well, if you keep doing the 300, this is how much you should have, right? And this is again a copy of the illustration, and you have a copy of that too in the package that I gave you. And if we go down here to year 4, we said, okay, you should have about 9171, you know, after 4 years. Now let me go back to your annual statement. How much did we have? 9156. So like we're within, was that $15? Okay, so you're right on track. And the point I'm trying to make is if you follow the plan, meaning if you keep up with your $300, you know, you don't take any money out, you don't skip premium payments, those numbers that we've been projecting originally are going to be very close to what you're going to have down the road. You know, I've been doing a lot of reviews, even with people who've had their policies for 7-8 years lately. And all of them who follow the plan, they're within about a couple $100 of what was projected even 7 or 8 years ago. So that's pretty cool. Okay. And then in your case, you know, again, you have the life insurance. And let's say when you retire, so we had your early retirement at age 62, you would stop putting money in and you'll have about $60,000, $70,000 of cash value in that policy that you can draw from tax-free, again, to supplement your CalSTRS or whatever else you have, okay? Any questions on this so far?
No, except I decided to retire earlier at 60.
At 60? Yeah. Not a problem. Okay. Well, you have a few other things besides your 403B. I mean, besides your CalSTRS. So, you know, you should be in good shape, but we'll look at that. Okay, and then the last thing I want to go over with your policy here is the living benefits. And again, you have a copy of that in your package. So this one here shows you, let's say, God forbid, there's a terminal illness, you could tap into, you know, large amounts, as I mentioned. Chronic illness, that is if, let's say, you have, again, a situation, nursing home type or at-home care. So these are monthly payouts, so about $2,300, you know, at age 60. And you could take that money out up to 50 months. And essentially what would be happening is they basically would take the 175, the life insurance, and deduct it from that. So look at it like you have a bank of 175,000 and they're just deducting it from that. And whatever's left over at the end, if any, then that would be going to your beneficiaries, okay? And, oops. And then the last one, critical illness and injury. So that one, again, those are lump sums in case of a major illness, cancer, stroke, heart attack, and so on. And here it says critical illness, but you also have the critical injury because we got that added on a few years ago because originally when you got the policy, you know, that wasn't on there or that didn't exist, but you saw it on your statement. We actually get that added on, okay? All right, any questions on this part?
It also covers me for the COVID, right?
Well, it doesn't cover COVID in itself, but let's say, for instance, if somebody has to go, you know, on a ventilator and they're lucky enough to get off, and then oftentimes people have long-term effects, that could potentially be something that could be covered either under critical or chronic. Yes.
I think my imaginary husband needs that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. By the way, does he have any life insurance?
With his old job.
With his old job. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, with when you get life insurance through your job, whenever you leave that job, you leave it behind, you know. And that's actually something I was going to talk to you about too. Um, because right now he doesn't have any insurance, right?
No.
Okay. So you should get him at least some, even if it's just cheap, some term insurance. And by the way, the term insurance that we have also has these things, what I'm just showing you here right now, has that built in, So um, have you ever thought about that? Have you guys had a discussion about that?
Um, can you talk to him about this? Can we set up a Zoom?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was thinking with your husband, well, first of all, yeah, he should have some insurance, right? And if this stuff here, the living benefits comes for free, you might as well. And this would go with him wherever he goes, right? And then also the other thing I was thinking about is his old 401k. Remember, he has a lot more options with that right now. And I can actually even show him how you can turn that into a small pension, because remember, he doesn't get a pension. As a matter of fact, you're going to be really okay with your pension because you're going to get 72 or more % of what you're making right now. But in retirement, he's the one who's going to have the biggest drop. So he's actually the one who should be, kind of doing something or even more on the side to fill that big drop that, that he's going to have. And we should definitely get him on a webinar. I have like a little master class that I do, which goes more into details about like Social Security and these kind of things. And it really explains, what you can actually do. What are some of the options to fill that gap, especially for people in the private sector. So we definitely need to set something up for him, okay? For him to be educated more on this stuff. Okay, and any questions on this so far?
No.
All right, and I just want to briefly go over your 403B as well. That'll be a quick one. So remember, same thing like with your IUL, the money grows on that blue line, so you're not in the market. So last March, you didn't lose anything. And this is just a snapshot of the statement that you got. And you can see here, this was actually the first quarterly statement. Now, mind you, what happened right there in between was COVID. So the market actually dropped right before the end of March, about 30%, okay? So your cash balance, what you have in there, is about $42,000. And you still earned about $790, even though the market actually took a dive. And that's the power of the indexing, okay? And also here, real quick, you have actually also with this built in, you have what's called a guaranteed income rider. So it's almost like you can turn that into a small pension by the time you retire. And that's also something that your husband could do with his 403B, because guess what is the biggest fear in retirement? It's outliving your money, right? It's actually, and most people actually about 10 years into retirement, they run out of their 403Bs, their 401ks and such, because, there's no guarantee how long it lasts. But with this one, there is a guarantee. So in your case, and remember, you're not adding any money into this right now. So in your case, let's say when you retire, that money that you have in there, you can actually turn it into a pension, mini pension. It would pay you out $331 for the rest of your life, or you can even have your husband on there. So if something happens to you before, it would pay out to him, okay? And so right now you can see you have $42,000. That's if you were to access the money. But if you use it as a pension, they're actually using a higher amount, and you have access to $47,000, okay? And so that was just on your 403B. So again, that's just growing. You can never lose money. And that's also giving you peace of mind, okay? Any questions on that one?
Okay, thank you. No.
Okay. All right. So there's just a couple more things that I wanted to share with you. Now, you mentioned that your kids, how old are they now? They're like, one is a little one, right?
2, 4. We took a little break, and the last one's 11.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're keeping yourself busy. Wow. How are you doing all that with homeschooling?
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's a lot of adjustments that everybody has to make. Yeah. So, but anyways, this is actually something here. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is something that has become very popular amongst parents because, as we discussed, a lot of people are not going to have pensions down the road, especially, our children and, future generations. And sometimes, parents want to do something to kind of help their kids down the road. So you can actually do something like what you have with the insurance plan for retirement. You can also do something like this for your kids, either for college, They can use that later down the road for down payment of a house, pay for their wedding, or even for their retirement, and especially kids, because they're so young, they have so much time. Parents put in like 50, 75, $100. And it's amazing how that money actually grows over the years. Now, have you actually started anything for college yet for them?
So we were thinking about a 529.
529, okay, yeah. Well, it's certainly better than doing nothing. But actually, you know what? Let me run some numbers for you, and I'll show you what this can do, and we can compare it to a 529, so you can discuss that with your husband. and then you'll see, which one makes more sense. But definitely it's important to start putting some money away. And then this one, they can use it for other things in college, which, gives you a lot more flexibility, okay? So actually, can you do me a favor? Can you text me their date of birth?
Sure.
And then I can run you some numbers. Okay, awesome. All right, and then one other thing, couple more things I want to share with you. Do you guys have a will or a trust?
We're thinking about that too.
Okay. Well, it's great that you're thinking about it, but it is really, really, really important to do that. And why? Because without neither one of those, it can be chaotic if something happens to us, either to you or your husband. Now, I always recommend having a trust, because a trust is pretty much bulletproof, and it has everything in there, also what you want to happen with your children, all your assets and all that. It doesn't go through probate. But if you don't have neither one of them, start with a will. Okay, and it's very easy. Actually, you can just go Google free trust, a free will and testament, and then there's plenty of websites you can download a free template and start completing that. Because it basically gives some directive if something happens to you, and especially because of the kids, you want to make sure that the people who you want them to take care of them, and so on and on. Okay, and if you're interested in getting a trust, again, ask for referrals, or I have a couple of attorneys that I can recommend. They also do free consultations, so that they'll look at your situation, and then they will actually guide you whether or not you need a trust or a will. Okay, but definitely it's something that's really, really important, because we've all heard stories about people, even like celebrities, they didn't have neither one of them, and it was just kind of like, like I said, chaotic when something happened down the road. And then the other thing also, and this is something I can actually email you, it's called a family emergency binder. Thanks, Javier. And this is you can actually download it as a hard copy, or you can also fill it out online. And what it is, it's just to assemble all your information, such as contact information, financial information. So if something happens, again, there's the information that the people around you need to do whatever it is that they need to do. Okay, and again, all these things just gives you more peace of mind. And because especially when it comes to your finances, you kind of want to be organized and know where your stuff is. Okay, so I'll email this to you, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, but it's really a tool. It's kind of like a gift that is very useful, or has been very useful for a lot of my clients. Okay, and then the last thing here, so now I have a question for you, if you don't have any questions for me, is now obviously you see the benefit of the insurance plan, your 403b, the indexing, the tax-free, the living benefits, and all that. So who do you know who actually, and I know we already talked about your husband, but who else do you know who might be interested in maybe learning about tax-free strategies, college funding, maybe they're worried about health stuff, stock market, and so on? Is there anybody that, maybe a sibling, maybe coworkers, that you think that they might benefit from this? And again, I do like introductory classes where basically I just go over the information. It's not a sales pitch. It's very informative, and people really, really like it. Anybody that comes to mind?
Yeah, I've already talked to some of my teacher friends, so I'll text you their information also.
Okay, that'll be awesome. And yeah, so by the way, whoever you refer to me, if I'm able to help that person, then I'm going to give you a gift card for $50 just as a little thank you. And so wrapping this up, so here's what we can do. Yeah, if you can text me their information, that would be awesome. But please let them know I'm going to reach out to them. Okay, because I don't want them to get upset at you because all of a sudden some stranger is calling them. Okay, and then the other thing, please text me your kid's date of birth. And also talk to your husband when he's available to get on about a half an hour little workshop online. We can also do weekends on Saturdays if that's easier for him. So that, again, I can go over some of the Social Security stuff with him, some options that he has with his 401k. And we can also touch on, some options for the life insurance so that he's not depending on his employer, and he has something that really covers him, not just for the life insurance, but also like you, the living benefits. Okay. And then so we'll be in touch. So any questions, any final questions?
No, I've been trying to tell him for a year to talk to you because he's going to be screwed. So,
well, let's hope not. Okay. So, but there's certainly certain things you can do in order to, contribute more towards retirement when you guys both going to get to that age. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. It's great seeing you. And then, like I said, we'll be in touch and we'll set something up.
Okay. I'm going to get back to my virtual vacation here.
Yes. Okay. I'll work on those divorce papers.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye. All right. Hold on, Javier. Let me give it back to you. Make host. Okay. All right.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I just got the controls. Let me go ahead and open up my portion of it to make sure I can go ahead and get going with this as well. So just bear with me. First of all, I just want to say thank you. What an outstanding training you had just given us. I thank you for that. And one of the things that I do want to emphasize to everybody, I don't know how savvy everybody is as it relates to the business building system, those 6 steps, 8 speed filters that we talk about. One of the things that we do on the First Financial Security side of the house when it comes to building a team is we used to hold a lot of BOPs, which are the business opportunity presentations, which I've been a part of for about 20 something years now. And when we talk about and train on BOPs, we always emphasize the fact that we hold those things for 3 main reasons. Who can tell me what those 3 reasons are in the order of importance? What's the first reason that we hold BOPs for? What's the second? And what's the third and least important? Who can tell me that? I got $25 or $20 on whatever it is on an Amazon gift card. Whoever can tell me the 3 reasons in the orders of importance. Number 1, most important reason we hold BOPs. Number 2, and then number 3. Anybody that really knows it? Anybody at all? Anybody? All right. Well, okay. I was hoping somebody would know it, but
hold on. Let me give us. Let me get a try with it.
All right. What's the number 1 reason we hold BOPs?
I'm just gonna give you the 3 reasons. I don't know the importance of them. Okay. Right. One is, of course, to introduce it to new people. Another is to introduce it to possible. Well, when I say introduce to new people, is for them to get to either sign up. The second reason is for them to get interested in possibly getting a policy for themselves. And the third reason is to help the rep get them more invested in what we're doing as well.
First of all, congratulations on trying. There's great power in that, and you got some of it right. And I'll give you the 3 reasons, and I hope you understand this as I go through them, why they are in that order for literally 30 years. This goes back to a system from what we used to call the practice company, and the practice company, and the company before that. The number 1 reason we hold BOPs, is to resell the dream to existing agents. That's the number 1 reason we hold BOPs. Whether there's 1 or 1,000 guests in the room, we worry more about the ones that are already in than the ones that might potentially come in. So the number 1 reason we hold BOPs is to resell the dream to existing agents. That's number 1. Number 2 is to teach current agents how to sell the dream themselves. And then the third and least important reason is to bring new people on board. And what I'm getting at, if you followed what Daniela was doing, what she did the exact same thing. Her first main goal was to resell the dream as to why her clients obtained the IUL or whatever product it might be to begin with. And that's very important for you to do. We forget. I mean, I literally pay, I'm not going to bug you with how much I'm paying, but I'm paying a ton of money towards different policies, terms, and IULs and all kinds of stuff that after a while, you just might not remember why you got them. What got you to say yes? to sign on the dotted line and to invest $200, $300, $400, $500 a month. And if they forget why they got it, that's the type of people that will start surrendering their policies or canceling their policies because they forgot why. All they know is that they're paying $300 into something that they don't even know what the hell it's called. They have no clue how well or bad it's doing. They have no reason to keep it. And so what she did, first of all, let me just start, and I hope you can see my screen. I wanted to just send this message to Knock as well as Daniela. I don't know if you can hear it, but I really just wanted to publicly thank them for doing an outstanding job. I mean, what you saw is it. And so start by, and she said something very interesting. I just told you, I had a Sergeant Chan call me. I've been trying to get a hold of this guy for 3 years for his annual reviews with absolutely no response. So when she said that, maybe in some cases you haven't spoken to them in years, but she says something very interesting. She says sometimes they're just not getting back to you. That's exactly what has happened to me in the past, and it's going to happen to you if you start reaching out to your clients. It doesn't mean it's your fault or you're being negligent. It's just that sometimes they're busy, that whatever. And so his first thing out of his mouth is, look, listen, I know you've been trying to get a hold of me for a while now, with a few years. And then he just said, I've been busy, that whatever. But the point of it is that you need to reach out to them and leverage what I just shared with you. Otherwise, all this knowledge that people put in their head without implementing is a total waste of time. And then once you implement it, you teach it to your teammates. Now, don't go teach them something you're not doing. You teach them something. Like I said, I've been reaching out to my clients all week because that's what we said we were going to do this week. If you didn't do it this week, well, then there's an issue there. And don't go buying into excuses and reasons and all this other crap. It's you. It's me. And personal challenges, we have them all. You know my story. I have a brother who came down with COVID. He's been done for over a month. He was in urgent care yesterday. I'm learning about this whole COVID thing as we go along because of the simple fact that he's going through a lot of the challenges that I've read about in the news. My other brother just came down with it in Atlanta. My father has come down with COVID. He's on a ventilator as we speak over at LA County USC. We've got a lot of stuff going here at the house. But in spite of all the things that I'm telling you about right now, I still keep the main thing the main thing. And you have to do the same. Don't give into one excuse because you'll give into 20. And so no matter how serious things might be, if you are still serious about success, move forward. If you're not, well, you won't. And so that's why I'm telling you that I cannot thank Daniela enough for sharing with us what she just shared. And if you have been, a great leader, all of you are great leaders, but to be a great leader, you must be a great follower too. And last week I told you, schedule as many follow-up or annual reviews as you can this coming week. Now, I don't know how many you did schedule, how many you did not. All I know is that you're going to enjoy the rewards of it, or you're going to pay the price. And that's none of my business. Right now, I'm so focused on what I need to focus, which is primarily the people moving forward. I don't have a lot of time for everybody else. Very few times in business and in life are you going to hear me say, march forward. And if people are on their own, falling down by your side, you keep marching. We don't have that kind of time. We don't have that luxury of unlimited leads, unlimited and 50 staff meetings and 1,000 leads a week. We don't have that luxury right now. You focus on you primarily, and so that you have the experience that's relevant to what's going on right now, and you move forward, and you let the dead bury their dead. You don't sit around waiting for people to come to their senses right now. You set the example, you march, and you keep marching. And again, I'm human just like you are, and I've been blessed by God to have given me the ability to deal with multiple things at one time if I really, really want to deal with them. Any one of the many things I've got going on in my life can be enough for me to say, hey guys, leave me alone for a while. But no, I can't afford that right now because we have to take advantage of the opportunity. Yes, it's a great challenge, but it's also a great opportunity before us. And I thank Daniela and Knock for what they did right now because it just showed you how simple it can be. Now, last thing I have to, before I go, because I got to get on another webinar, well, I'll say thank you again. But the last thing I want to just share with you is this website. If you have scheduled your actual annual reviews with clients this past week, and you know who you are, if you have, great. If you haven't, don't go to the website. Go to this website, fill out a simple form with the policy number and the names of your clients that you have scheduled for this week, and we'll go ahead and send it out. Compliance is a big deal in our industry, even in our company, from team to team. So you do have to be part of our team to access the template I'm going to share with you. So go ahead and understand that. If you don't meet the requirements, then there's simply just not going to be anything in your inbox. It's not a mean thing. It's just a life thing. It's a reality thing. And everything that Daniela just showed you If you have 20 minutes, guess what? You can create it from scratch. I'm going to be posting this video on our back office so you can see it, pause it, and create your own slides. It's not that hard. But it's because of people like Daniela that makes life so much easier for some of us, because somebody somewhere, like she said, figures it out and then just simply shares it. And that's what makes her such a great human being. And I thank her for that. And again, if you don't get an answer from the system giving you the actual template, create one. What are you going to quit? Just, do what you have to do. Nobody gave it to Daniela. She took the time, the effort, the time to do it. Now, if you have been doing scheduling your actual annual reviews, you're going to get it in PowerPoint so you can customize it to your client's information. But what a great thing to have somebody do for you. But what a waste of time if you are not booking, again, annual reviews. If you don't have annual reviews booked this week, you wasted the week, because that was the play that we called for this week. Our sole purpose in FFS was to just schedule them, for God's sakes, not even hold them, just schedule them. Reach out to your people. Do you know how to do that? Because sometimes people have forgotten how to do that as well. It's amazing how many people don't have their clients' names, phone numbers or email addresses. When they are so important to our future and our success, we have to keep them very close to our hearts. So anyways, I just want to say thank you. Before we break, any questions, comments, or concerns from anybody? Again, very simple. The play for this coming week is to schedule as many annual reviews as possible, and don't leave it for Friday before the webinar next Saturday, because we're going to recap by numbers, and we're going to have a leaders board, who scheduled the most, who conducted the most, and we have a prize for somebody in that area as well. And we're just trying to make it fun, make it a fun way to succeed versus a no fun way to fail. And the two options before is right now. And yes, things are tough, and yes, there's a lot of stuff going on in our private lives, but in spite of all that, you need to learn how to move forward. And your two choices before you are very simple. Two choices I have to make. Either A, I shrink and I lose, or B, I grow and I win. And either you're going to shrink and lose, or you're going to grow and win. And I hope you choose wisely, because a lot of people are not going to make it through this winter. And so that's why I'm telling my people, you move forward. You move forward. If you've done everything you can, I never give up on anybody until they give up on themselves. But once they give up on themselves, I just keep moving. And I don't come back for the dead. I just keep moving. And so I encourage you to keep moving right now like never before. Because God forbid something happens to you, then it's all over. We don't want to do that. So if no one has any questions, comments, concerns,
Javier.
Anybody, go ahead.
Hey, this was Reggie. I just wanted to know, first of all, thank you for this. Thanks, Daniela, and I appreciate it. That was really great. As far as annual reviews, I've been attempting for this week. I did one last week, actually, this past week, without the template there, and that was great. I'd love to get that. Like you said earlier, I've got 3 or 4 that I've reached out to. One, she won't be back from Mexico for a while. The other 2 haven't gotten back to me. So the attempt is there. It's just that I don't have anything on the books scheduled this week yet, but I'm attempting, and I did do one last week actually, and all that. All that's being said, am I still able to get the template you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for just people that are trying. I mean, you know how hard it is? You know how many people you have to call to schedule one? It is hard. I mean, this is their money, for God's sakes. And sometimes they're acting like it's our money. It's their money. We're trying to give them good news and reassure them and so on. And it's difficult. This guy, Tommy Chan, the sergeant that I described, man, that's the one guy that helped me with school police 12 years ago, get me in there. And I owe him so much. And we're tight, we're this, but the guy just wouldn't call me back for 3 years. And so the point of it is, it's bad enough when they want to talk to you, let alone when they just simply don't know what you want. And so don't give up on that. We're just looking right now for people that are taking action. So if you try, then you know who you are in your heart of hearts. I'm not going to sit here and go through your emails and stuff. I'm just simply saying, you know who you are. And for me, if I didn't do it this week, I would say, you know what, I'm not going to go on this link, but I'm going to go knock it out next week and send Javier an email and say, look, listen, I didn't do it last week for whatever reason, but this week I called 12 people and all 12 hung up on me. That's good. That's a good sign. But if you do it long enough, you'll get the success that you seek, is what I'm saying. Because, again, right now, I can't take too much of Daniela's time or George's time or Mr. Hatter's time or Alan Garris's time. They are busy. And I'm telling you, we come together when we need to come together big time, but everybody needs to do their part. If you cannot even try, if this does not mean anything or enough to you for you to at least try, I don't know what to tell you. Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, I just want to say thank you to everybody, but especially to Daniela for being so generous with her information, sharing it with us, and I really appreciate, and all of us appreciate Daniela, and thank you so much for all that you do as well. Everybody,
hey, what about Daniela's masterclass access? Is there any access for that? Yeah, I see you, Danielle.
Not as of yet, no. Not as
All
of
right.
right now, but it's
Gotcha.
something we can discuss.
You don't ask if you have not if you don't ask, right?
Oh, I agree. I'm open. I'm open to discussing options for that. So I'll talk to
But-
Javier about it.
All right.
Perfect.
Sounds
Hey
good.
guys, we
Yeah.
got a
Thanks,
lot
Jay.
of good stuff. Just so you know, up our sleeves. We just want to make sure that we're doing it with people that are serious as us. All right. I got to get going, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Above all, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.